Hello, Starshine. My name is Liz, and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Facebook page, where this whole thing began, as well. All relevant links are in the description below, and of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of the characters featured in my stories, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Alrighty then. So, welcome. And what is up, Buttercup? Are you having a good day or a bad day? Whichever your answer, please allow me to distract you from your life and tell you a story, a Simsational story. Before I begin though, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey. I'm not going to apologise for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done. But I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with, let's go. Today's story is from Kalthis and Co., and we're at chapter 12. If you have not seen previous chapters and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado. Teenager Kelsey Kalthis and her best friend Roman Peterson had been getting closer and closer for months now. They had met at school and hit it off immediately. Roman was a perfectionist, just like Kelsey, and they both shared a love for retro and alternative music. Roman was always introducing her to new bands. Roman had a huge crush on Kelsey from the very start, but of course she had no idea. Kelsey had a troubled home life. Her mother Kellyanne had recently abandoned her and her 4 younger siblings, and as the eldest, Kelsey had been left with the huge responsibility of either caring for her little brothers and sisters or calling social services, who would probably just separate and adopt them all out into new families. If she did that, they may never see each other again. Kelsey couldn't accept that. She was determined to keep her family together. Her younger siblings ranged in age from 18 months to 12 years old, and it was a lot of work to keep the household running. Kelsey was doing her best, but it wasn't easy. Roman Peterson was the only person Kelsey told the truth about their situation to. Roman admired Kelsey's devotion to her siblings, and he promised to help, and to help keep their secret, of course. They were very careful, especially at Roman's house. His mother Melinda was a teacher, and if she had any idea what was going on, she would have been forced, as a mandatory reporter, to call social services. Roman showed Kelsey the legislation on his phone. It basically said that because of her job, if his mum Melinda heard about a situation like Kelsey's and didn't report it, and that was ever found out, then she could lose her job or even go to jail. Besides, Roman's mother wasn't the kind of woman who stood for substandard parenting, like Kelsey's mother, Kellyanne Kalthis, was so very guilty of. Melinda was a kind and lovely woman, but her standards were high. And so Roman kept his mother in the dark about what was really going on with his friend. Kelsey was so grateful for Roman's support and encouragement. He not only helped her keep her secret and gave her a respite from her problems, but he also came over in the afternoons while she went to work to help take care of her younger siblings. She wasn't sure that she could have done all of this without him. Of course, it didn't take long for Kelsey and Roman's relationship to develop a romantic undercurrent. They were spending so much time together and sharing the work on a huge burden. At first, Kelsey thought she was just imagining it, and for a little while, that denial kept them apart. But then, one afternoon when they were hanging out at his house, Roman went quiet for a really long time. Then, finally, when he looked up at Kelsey, they both knew they could pretend no longer. The 2 teens were helplessly, passionately, and ever so sweetly in love. Roman had grown up in a supportive and loving home. His parents were blessedly normal. But for Kelsey, this was the first time in her young life that she was experiencing anything like this. Her little brothers and sisters loved her, of course, but her mother's neglect and abandonment had been hard on young Kelsey's heart. Roman was everything wholesome that she'd never had and always been afraid to dream of. And he was real. Roman's family also welcomed Kelsey with open arms, and Kelsey just loved going to their house. She had very little time to do so, between school, working 2 jobs, and trying to keep on top of the housework and childcare at home. But her little brother Kevin was almost 13 now, and soon she found herself relying on him more and more. She felt guilty about it sometimes, but she had spent her whole life looking after her little brothers and sisters. Surely it was only fair that she get some time to herself at last, now that Kevin was old enough to help. Kelsey was only 14, and she had always had a lot of weight on her young shoulders. Even before abandoning them, her mother had never been the most devoted. But she was starting to get fed up. She was trying so hard, giving it her all, but sometimes she just liked to forget, to pretend like none of it was real, like she didn't have 4 little kids and a ton of washing up to do when she got home. Like, sometimes it was nice to just be a teenager. Going over to the Peterson house let her do that. They were so normal over there, and she obviously couldn't tell them what was really going on at home. But that meant she also just got to be a normal kid there. Instead of eating a microwave dinner alone in bed after the kids were asleep, she would eat a healthy dinner that Mrs. Peterson had cooked while talking about her day at school, play video games with Roman, and then get offered a safe drive home from Mr. Peterson. Kelsey felt like part of their family. She wasn't a part of their family, though. She was head of her own family, and as much as a part of her wished she could just stay at the Petersons forever, Kelsey knew she couldn't just leave everything on Kevin's shoulders the way things had been left on hers by their mother. She already felt bad enough for how much Kevin was doing. It was too much. All of this was too much for them. Where even was her mother? They hadn't seen or heard from Kellyanne Kalthis in almost 2 months now. What was she doing while Kelsey parented her children? And that brings us to the end of Chapter 12 of Kellyanne Kalthis and Co. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear the next chapter. Or like I said, look us up on Facebook. Bye!